Yes, I can. Good evening, Mubalaji.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Ada. All right. Okay, I think we already have quite, you know, a big number of people on the call. So let's just get started. Hi, and welcome to everyone. Welcome to Analytics Masterclass. We're going to be having an amazing session this evening or this afternoon, or it could be morning, depending on wherever you're joining us from. Okay, it's going to be an interesting short course where we're going to be diving into the world of data analytics. We're going to be diving into the world of, data engineering and data science. All right. So I know that, we have some people that are on the call that are first timers in the space. They're absolutely new to the tech space. There are people that are on this call that are definitely not, first timers. Okay. So for those that are first timers, for those that are already in the space, there's something for everyone to learn today. Okay. There's something for everyone to learn today. So we're going to be basically considering machine learning engineering versus cloud engineering versus data analyst. The roles, the skills, and the salary case study. Okay. So if you have ever heard of the term machine learning engineer, you wonder who are these guys? How do they get started? Okay. If you've ever heard of the word cloud engineer, okay, you're wondering, what's the difference between machine learning engineer, a cloud engineer, and a data analyst? This is where we're going to break down everything to us, using case scenarios that are going to drive the point home. Okay, so we're going to be leaving here with so much clarity, and then you're going to know which program speaks to you the most? Which program do you feel like you're drawn to the most, and you can absolutely kick off an amazing career in tech? Okay, so before we get started, I want us to feel absolutely comfortable. All right, so I want us to drop our name and where we're joining from in the chat. So can we throw that in the chat real quick? So it could be a Brian from Germany, it could be a Mary from the US, it could literally be uh Bolaji from Canada. All right. So I want us to drop our name and where we're joining in from. So I can see Josephine from London. Hi, Josephine. It's nice to have you on the session. I can see Joshua from Wales. Hi, Joshua. Oluwaseun from the UK. Kingsley from London. Fantastic. Let's keep that going. So we want to literally, be as very comfortable as possible. You want to try as much as possible to network, and you also want to try as much as possible to be engaging because it's going to be an interactive session where we are going to be, doing a little bit of expose, and you are also going to be giving us feedback. So you're getting some expose from us, and you're also getting the feedback from your end. Okay, so let's keep that coming in. So if you're just joining the session, you haven't missed anything. We're basically introducing ourselves. So if you're just joining the session, what you want to do is just throw your name and where you're joining in from in the chat. Now, before we go on, we are going to be, using a lot of resources for tonight's session. We're going to be recording the entire session. Okay. So for you to be able to get the recording of this session, okay, for you to be able to get the resources, the slides, and everything that was used in this session, all right, you would have to fill in the attendance form that is passed in the chat. So my colleagues are passing an attendance form in the chat, and you want to go ahead and fill in the attendance form. So I can see Ola from UK. Hi, Ola, you're welcome. I can see, I just saw someone from joining from Birmingham, but I think that went away real quick. So I think we have literally a lot of people joining from all over the world. All right. So I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing session. I have with me this evening a very, fantastic data scientist. Okay, so full stack data scientist is going to be coming in, is going to be throwing light on all of these key concepts, and how we can literally take advantage of them. So very quickly, let's jump into what we have for today. So what are we doing today? So we have four, items that are lined up for us this evening. We're going to run through the four, and then we're going to be out of here in no time. So the first one is we're obviously going to be walking us through the machine learning engineering, right? The machine learning engineering. We're going to be walking us through the cloud engineering. We're going to be walking us through the data analyst roles, skills, and salary. Then the second item on the list is the pathway to becoming a data engineer, a data analyst, and a data scientist. Now, the third item on the list is the Tenalytics Growth Internship Program. So we're going to be letting you in on our internship program. So Fumi from Joss, hi Fumi, you're welcome to the session. And finally, for those that stick around to the end, okay, we have a special discount offer to you. So this discount offer is only for those that can stick around to the end of the session. So hopefully we're gonna get you to be able to stick around and so you can actually get in on that discount. Now let's go on. Very, very quickly about Analytics. Who are we and what do we do? So we're a leading edtech firm, all right, and we're a company that exists to help, Africans and generally the people of the Black community learn premium tech skills and lowering the entry barrier into the tech space. So basically, what does that mean? So we exist to bridge the gap between, the classroom experience, people that are just getting out of universities, all right, and people that are trying to transition from a non-technical background. So somebody that, probably is working, as a nurse, somebody who's working as a pharmacist, somebody who's working as an engineer. You don't have a tech background, okay? How can you transition into the tech space? All right, that is very, very possible. So that is what we exist to help people achieve. We've helped close to, over 2,000 people transition from the classroom or a non-tech related background, helping them land their first role in tech. And how did we achieve this? Through our numerous course offerings, ranging from data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, cybersecurity, AI engineering, and agile project manager, scrum master. So these are some of our, course offerings that you can absolutely, start your tech career path in. Okay. Now, for those that are absolutely new to the tech space, okay, for those that are absolutely new to the tech space, we have a quiz link for you, okay, and that is going to also be part of, what you are going to be getting, all right. So the quiz link, once you take the quiz, it's going to help you streamline your work experience or your educational background and help you figure out, with the use of AI, the particular tech career paths that will be the most suitable for you. And I'm going to be sharing that link, as the session goes on. All right. But this particular session is geared towards bringing the knowledge of data engineering, data science, and data analytics to us. Okay. So now, a very, very quick one about me before we get into, the juicy part of this evening. So my name is Mobolaji Faluba. I'm a data scientist and MLOps engineer with half a decade experience in data analytics and AI engineering. So my experience span data science and MLOps at Simplified UX USA, data analytics, Mo Ace Consulting Canada, and AI engineering, Zara Health Limited, Nigeria. So I've worked in the health sector, in the financial sector, and in the edutech sector. Now, with me this evening is none other but the most amazing Jedidiah. He is going to be the one that's going to be giving us all of those tidbits and giving us all of those clarity and education that we need to understand what exactly are this career, these three, career paths all about, right? And how can we, through understanding a case scenario, how can we know for sure what these professionals do, in their work environment on a day-to-day basis? And then we're going to be having a lot of things that we're going to be benefiting from. So I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself. And when it's done, I will be right back. Hi, Dedidiah. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Good evening.
All right.
All right, awesome. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where exactly you are joining the session from. It's absolutely wonderful to have you in today's session. I'm excited to be here, and it's going to be an awesome session. There's a lot packed for today's session. We're going to be learning a lot. We're going to be interacting as we go through the session. And I'm hoping that we are ready to really learn from today's session. Now, first off, I'm going to say if you don't have any writing materials beside you yet, this session is going to be recorded. Yes, you would have access to all of the materials, but I'd really recommend taking some notes down because there's a lot that we are going to be unpacking into this session. And it will really help if you have those notes down so you can always review them along with the recording of the session. Right, so very quickly, I'm going to introduce myself and then we'll dive into the meat of the session. My name is Jedediah Usara. I am a senior data science associate here at Analytics. I've worked in the data science and machine learning industry for over half a decade now, working in industries across healthcare, finance, aviation, education, business, and so much more, right? I've worked with organizations across the US, the UK, and Canada. My skills cut across machine learning, AI engineering, and even ML ops. And I'll be bringing all of that wealth of knowledge to today's session. Now, besides all of that, I have also trained well over 500 participants here at Analytics, helping them to break into the field of tech, and I currently lead the data science team here at Analytics. So I'll be bringing all of that knowledge and expertise and all of my experience, both in the classroom and in the industry, into today's session to ensure that everything is simplified and everyone is carried along as we go through the session. So very quickly we'll just dive into it. The focus of our session today would be on understanding who these three professionals are: machine learning engineers, data analysts, and cloud engineers. There's one thing that ties these three people together. There's one thing common to all three of them, and that's the fact that they all work with data. Now, if I go on to ask us what is data, every single one of us would have a slightly different definition. All right, so I'd like for everyone to actually do this right now. Go into the chat and just type what data is. In your own words, how would you define data? I'm pretty sure every single one of us would most likely have a slightly different definition for what data is. So please go into the chat right now and just let me know what, in your opinion, is data. Now, just a disclaimer, I have a second screen by my side here. So just in case you see me looking to the side, I am not distracted. I'm actually looking at my second screen and keeping track of all the messages. All right, so let's go on to type in what is data. What, in your opinion, is data? All right, Millicent says facts. Awesome. Um, Karim says data are raw facts. Samson says data is like number, figures, or quantifying things. Data is a collection of information relevant to specific fields. All of these are brilliant responses. Data can be defined as unprocessed information. Fantastic. This is all good and great. Now, I like to define data as facts and statistics that are used for reference and analysis. Time may not permit us to go into breaking all of that down, but I want you to remember this tiny piece. Data basically refers to any piece of detail that can be recorded about something, any kind of detail at all. Right now, I'm wearing a black shirt. That is a piece of data about my outfit today. Right now, we are on this call. The time when this session started is a particular detail about this session. That is also data. So every piece of detail about an occurrence, about an individual, about an object is considered as data. And this data can be analyzed to pick up patterns, to pick up ideas, to pick up insights that can be used to make relevant business decisions. Like I said, data refers to every single piece of detail. So any kind of detail you can think about yourself. Your age is a piece of detail about yourself. That's data. Your name is a piece of detail about yourself. That's data. Your phone number is a piece of detail. That's data. Your address, that's data. All right. So all of this are pieces of data. Data is all around us. And a lot of times we generate an abundance of data without even realizing that we are actually generating data. Like I said in the beginning, these three professionals have one thing in common, and that's the fact that they work with data. It's very important that we understand what data is going into this discussion so that things will begin to make sense as we move forward. We have three major styles in today's session: the data analyst, the ML engineer, and the cloud engineer. And we're going to be starting with the data analyst. I mentioned that these three professionals have one thing in common, and that's the fact that they all work with data. We're starting with the data analyst. Who is a data analyst? A data analyst is a professional who collects, processes, and analyzes data to help organizations make informed decisions. So the data analyst is a professional that takes in data, analyzes it, tries to make sense of it, and see what kind of information can be extracted from that data. I mentioned earlier that every piece of detail about an event, about an occurrence, about an individual, or even an object can be considered as data. Right now, all of us joined this session, and there's data that's being recorded about every single person that's joined the session. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'd see where it says participants and you'd see a number right there. That's a piece of data. And how was that data generated? By counting every individual person that joined the session. All right. So that's a piece of detail. That's a piece of data. The job of a data analyst is to take in individual records, to take in these millions and hundreds of records and make sense of it. See what kind of information can be derived from it. See what kind of insights can be extracted from it to help a business makes decision. So a data analyst will typically take on all of these data, organize them, put them in a structure that makes it easier for the business to make sense of it, right? I mentioned that data is all around us, is all around us. A very practical example would be with almost all of us who have smartphones. I want to believe all of us have a smartphone here. All right, so I want to throw this question to the class again, right? If you have or if you use a smart device and you track the number of steps you take each day, just type a one in the chat. Or your device just gives you a random notification sometimes and just tells you, oh, you've taken 10,000 steps today. Maybe you didn't even set it up. It just decides, oh, I'm going to tell you how many steps you've taken, right? Fantastic. I can see a lot of ones. I can see a lot of ones. If you don't have that, it's fine, right? You can just respond with a zero. So all of these details that your device is tracking, it's able to know how many steps you have taken. Why is that possible? Because it's tracking every single step you take. Some of us today have smartwatches that are able to do that for us. So even when you don't have your actual phone, your smartwatch is able to track the number of steps that you have taken. All of that is data that is being generated. Now, at the end of the day, right? You might have walked a couple of kilometers during the day. At the end of the day, your device is able to calculate and tell you, oh, this is how many steps you have taken. At the end of the week, at the end of the month, it can tell you, oh, this is how many steps you have taken. And at an average, this is how much calories you have burnt because of that kind of movement. How does it know the amount of calories you have burnt? It's able to take in that data that you have generated based on the steps, perform some level of calculation, some analysis on it, and then it's able to tell you, oh, based on the number of steps you have taken, this is the amount of calories that you have burnt. This is the amount of exercise or yeah, calories that you have burnt over the past month. That's an example of an insight that was generated from data that was tracked. Another very good example is the weather forecast. How many of us check the weather forecast when we go out? I know that's probably not a very common thing in Nigeria, but for most of others who are outside the country, right, where the climate changes so rapidly, right? And you always have to check the weather forecast before you go out to decide what your outfit will be, what the temperature is likely going to be. So how many of us actually do that? How many of us actually check the weather forecast before leaving our house? You can just type a one in the chat and it's zero if you don't. Fantastic. Now, how do you think that number is generated? Or how do you think that value is generated? How do you think that information is generated to communicate to you? It's because all of these professionals have tracked what the temperatures have been over time. What has been the temperature for the period of time? What is the trend looking like? What has the pattern been like? Oh, it was summer a few weeks ago, and typically by the cycle of the earth, at this point it's supposed to be winter, and we've been this pattern. We've been seeing this trend related this value by considering other pieces of data like the humidity in the atmosphere. We've considered the temperature and so many other details before that final information is generated and communicated to you. All right. So a data analyst is someone who takes in data like that and tries to make sense of it. It could be within a business setting where we are looking at how much sales has happened, how much value has been generated, how much we have made as a business in a particular day, in a particular month, in a particular week, within a period. All right. And this becomes relevant to the business because the business is able to identify what has happened and what actions they need to take. If we have been looking into our data and we are observing that we are currently running at a loss, we've not been making as much as we've been doing before, then the business is able to know that there's something wrong somewhere. With further analysis, we can identify where the problem is and start looking for ways to actually address that. So the job of a data analyst is to collect and organize data from systems. A very good example would be a database. Now, a database is not something very complex. Don't get scared by the buzzword. A database is basically a central storage location where you have all of your data placed in. All right. So a data analyst interacts with a database, extracts the data that they need, and then they can go on to conduct their analysis, extracting insights from this data and being able to communicate these insights to the business and helping them to make decisions. All right. So the data analyst prepares data for analysis. After collecting the data from the database, they clean it up and make sure that it is analysis ready. And then they move into looking for patterns and trends within the data. What are these patterns and trends? I talked about weather forecast, right? We are able to see what has the trend been looking like. Is it time by the cycle of the earth? Is it time yet for this change, or is it the period where this change is meant to start happening, right? And what have we been observing in terms of temperatures, in terms of atmospheric pressure, humidity in the atmosphere, and all of those other values, cloud coverage, and all of that. What has been the observation in most recent time, and what insights can we generate from all of those pieces of data at the end of the day in order to make a decision? Right? This is what a data analyst does. On the flip side, we have the second professional who is the machine learning engineer. Now, the machine learning engineer does something slightly different from what the data analyst does. I've explained that the data analyst looks into data to try to extract insights from it that can help the business make decisions. And the machine learning engineer does something a little further. But before I even get into the conversation about what a machine learning engineer does, I would like to ask again to the class, if you've been on Netflix and you saw a movie, and then after seeing that movie, Netflix was already recommending a similar movie to you, just type in a one in the chat. Or you saw a video on YouTube, you watched a couple of videos, and then after you left YouTube, the next time you came back, you saw that YouTube was now recommending similar videos to you. Fantastic. How is YouTube able to do that? Okay, a very practical example. This this is probably one uncommon one, right? One that a lot of us were probably surprised by. Y- If you've experienced this, I want you to type yes in the chat. You attend an event somewhere, all right? And then you meet someone, you see this person, probably spoke to the person, and then after you got home, you saw a Facebook notification, a Facebook friend suggestion for that particular person. You Probably didn't even speak to the person. You just saw the person at the event. You didn't even talk to the person. But after you got home, you saw a Facebook suggestion for that person as a friend. Okay, we've all experienced similar things like this. This is as a result of machine learning. This is as a result of machine learning. Now, machine learning focuses on making predictions based on patterns that have been observed in data. Making predictions based on patterns that have been observed in data. From the Netflix example, Netflix, YouTube, Spotify even, you've listened to a particular genre of songs. Spotify, YouTube, Netflix is able to see who else has listened to these similar kinds of songs. What other kinds of songs are they more interested in? Right? And then they're able to recommend that to you as well because they've seen that this is a pattern with other people that like this kind of songs. These songs are similar. Spotify, YouTube is able to recommend similar things to you. You've probably experienced this with many different platforms. It could be even on a shopping website. You probably search for a particular product, and by the time you came back the next day or next 2 days, you see that it's recommending something similar to you as well. It's as a result of machine learning models running in the background. Now, a very good way to explain this, a very good way is to explain this, and a very practical example I like to use is thinking about how children learn, right? Little kids, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, when they are trying to learn the letters of the alphabet. If you have a kid at home, you've probably experienced this or you've probably been through this process with them where you start by first of all showing them these letters of the alphabet, right? You show them the letters and you say, oh, this is letter A, this is letter B, this is letter C. You teach them the pattern of how to identify letter A, letter B, letter C. You see, letter C looks like a complete curve like this, but it's not all round. All right, the one that goes all around is letter O. You try to teach them all of those patterns and hope that they are able to memorize those patterns. And then later on, you bring those same alphabets without telling them what it is, and then you ask, what letter is this? What letter is this? What letter is this? And then you hope that they're able to identify these based on the patterns that they have learned over time, based on what you have shown them and taught them over time. You hope that they're able to accurately identify these letters of the alphabet, right? Machine learning models work in a similar manner. What you do is train them on data. You look at the different patterns that have been existing in the data, and then the machine learning model pretty much learns, right? As the word implies, it learns from these patterns. It's able to see, oh, this is the pattern I've been observing. The weather has been moving in this direction. Our sales have been moving in this direction. And then that simply means that most likely in the next period, our sales is going to look this way. Right, so we've been observing a downward trend in the demand from our customers, and that simply means that most likely the next quarter we are not going to be making as much profit due to the decline in demand we've been observing. All right, so all of these patterns, machine learning focuses on observing these patterns using high level statistics, all right, using very intense statistics, mathematical concepts, and advanced models to be able to predict these patterns after learning from already existing data. Right? So the job of a machine learning engineer is to develop these kind of models, right? And just so you know, machine learning is actually a branch of artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence, you might ask? Artificial intelligence simply implies developing systems that can think and act like humans, right? And I've practically laid out a very good analogy that relates human interaction, how we learn, to how the machine learning actually also learns and makes decisions. All right. So machine learning is actually a branch of artificial intelligence, and there are different sections to it. All right. The major focus here is that you are trying to make predictions based on patterns that have been observed in data. All right, that is what a machine learning engineer does. They leverage a lot of tools. They are focused on building predictive models, and they leverage tools like Python, scikit-learn, the R programming language, libraries like TensorFlow, and so much more. After developing these models, they fine-tune these models and improve their efficiency, improve their accuracy, making sure that whatever predictions they make is correct at the end of the day. Whatever decisions they make is correct. Now, one thing I love about the data ecosystem or data science, machine learning, data analytics is the fact that these concepts apply to practically every industry. When I was introducing myself, I mentioned quite a number of industries I had worked in, right? When Mobolaji also spoke, he mentioned a number of organizations he had worked with. And if you look at that list, you would see that everything spans across multiple industries. That's because these concepts apply to practically every industry. I give an example with YouTube, Spotify. That's just one example. Machine learning is applied in the healthcare system where we are trying to predict the likelihood of a particular disease. It applies in the banking system. We could be predicting things like loan default. It applies in education where we could be predicting things like student performance. All right. It practically applies everywhere. Right. I mentioned weather forecast. We could be applying machine learning models to predict what the future is likely going to look like, what the weather is most likely going to be in the next couple of periods. All right, so all of this ties down to really analyzing data, making sense of it, making decisions of it, and then be able to predict future outcomes based on these observations. Now, the final star of our show is the cloud engineer. The cloud engineer does something slightly different from these other professionals, right? The cloud engineer is responsible for putting together the infrastructure where this machine learning engineer and data analyst would be working on. And by infrastructure, what do I mean? The data analyst would need a number of tools for all of their analysis. They will need to be able to connect to data. I made mention of being able to link to a database in order to make decisions, to take actions, right? The cloud engineer is responsible for making sure that the data analyst can link to that database and retrieve the data that they need in order to go on with the analysis. They are also responsible for making sure that the data analyst, after retrieving the data, can actually route it into the specific tool where they need it for the analysis. So the data analyst would be working with tools like Power BI for visualizations. They'll be working with tools like Tableau for visualizations, or sometimes even Excel. You can actually do a lot of analysis within Microsoft Excel. So regardless of whatever the tool is, the cloud engineer is responsible for making sure that that entire process is seamless and efficient. It's responsible for making sure that that entire process is efficient. All right. And the same goes for the machine learning engineer. The machine learning engineer would also need to retrieve some of that data in order to build a predictive model. I've mentioned that the machine learning models are learning from patterns that exist in the data. So in order for the machine learning engineer to go on to develop a model, there has to be data that the model is learning from. So the cloud engineer is responsible for making sure that that pipeline, that flow is made very efficient, all right? That the machine learning engineer is able to retrieve the data that they need, pass that into a particular space, right? A particular environment, develop their machine learning model, and then push it out for production, where it can now be placed on the actual app where you are interacting with it in the background, right? Where it can now go on to, the YouTube app, the Spotify app, or even the Facebook app, where you are actually interacting with the app and the machine learning model is running in the background. All right. So a cloud engineer is responsible for putting together this infrastructure. Now, the data analysts and the machine learning engineer can actually work independently, build their own entire systems, and work on their entire projects end to end. However, there would there wouldn't be room for efficient collaboration between these professionals. All right. Most likely what you'll find is the data analyst is working with a completely different set of data. By the time they are done, they have to now export whatever results they have, pass that to the machine learning engineer, and they have to start figuring out how they can integrate that into their own workflow. All right. So you would most likely find um areas of conflict when you have systems like that, where teams are working in silos and everyone is kind of working independently. The cloud engineer comes in to make sure that there's structure for collaboration, to make sure that there's structure for how these data is going to be used, for how these teams are going to be interacting with each other, and how the result or how the final output is going to roll out at the end of the day. All right. So the cloud engineer is responsible for putting all of this together. Now, what makes the role of the cloud engineer relevant? We've seen that the data analyst helps us make sense of data so that we can make business decisions. We've seen that the data scientist or the machine learning engineer helps us develop models that are able to make predictions. Now, what makes the role of the cloud engineer very important? A lot of organizations today would typically have local infrastructure, right? Think of your conventional business today that would be processing some records of data, tracking sales, day-to-day sales. A lot of businesses in Nigeria might even be using, manual methods, maybe having an actual physical book where they are logging in some of these transactions. Some businesses use computers to track all of these things. But as the business begins to grow, as the business begins to scale and get bigger, they begin to process much larger pieces of data. And what does that mean for the company? That means they have to start investing in larger infrastructure. They have to start figuring out, we need to get better servers. We need to get larger storage for all of our data. We need to start expanding our systems. We need to start investing more in some of this physical infrastructure. Working with the cloud makes that entire process a lot more efficient, makes it a lot easier. All right. We can have cloud platforms, right? There are a number of them actually, from AWS to GCP to Azure to Fabrics, and there's like a lot of them. There's Google's platform as well. All right. So what that does for you is it gives you an online-based infrastructure where the business is able to leverage for all of their data needs, and is also able to scale based on demand, right? It's kind of a pay-as-you-go kind of structure where if you only need this level of processing for the level of your business at this particular time, you can pay for that amount that you are using and then go on to leverage that. And as your business expands and you need more, all you have to do is pay for more and then get more, and then you can go on with your process. So the cloud engineer is responsible for also making sure that that entire process is efficient, that the business is able to scale efficiently without any strain or stress, right? They're also responsible for ensuring that we're able to manage the cost at the end of the day. As much as we want to be able to scale our business efficiently without the need of spending so much on physical infrastructure, we also need to make sure that we are being efficient with our spending, right? We are being frugal with our spending. We are not spending too much, and it's basically diminishing returns at the end of the day. So cloud engineers set up the cloud platform and they manage everything. They ensure that it meets the scaling demand and streamlines the process of how the platform is used by professionals like the data analysts and the machine learning engineers. This is just a breakdown of some of the relevance of these three roles, what exactly they do, and how they actually work in the tech ecosystem. In today's session, we have a case study we are going to be working together on. All right, and we'll be seeing how all of these three professionals interact together in an actual live setting. So the case study we have in front of us today is for a bank called Swift Bank. Now, this bank is a digital first bank that offers savings accounts, mobile payments, and personal or business loans. All right, so think of this as the conventional bank, right? It's that offers different kinds of accounts, from savings to mobile accounts to personal, and they also provide personal or business loans. As more customers apply for loans online, the bank wants to automate loan decisions, right? Improve approval speed and reduce default risk. Now, the organization currently runs a manual method of operation where if a customer comes in and applies for a loan, they have to manually evaluate that customer, check out their credit score. They have to manually do all of that calculation, start looking into the customer if this is someone who is likely going to default on the payment, and do all of that checks before they are able to finally confirm a loan. All right. And many people are coming in to apply for loans, and this becomes a very stressful process, right? It also costs the bank a lot of money to run, right? It's costing them a lot of money to do all of these background checks. So they are looking for ways that they can make this entire process really efficient. The manual loan approval process at Swift Bank is slow and inconsistent. All right, so one person may be doing it, and this person is a bit lenient, and when the next person picks up, the next person is probably a bit harsh, all right, or a bit more strict when going through this evaluation process. So there's inconsistencies depending on who exactly might be doing this. Some qualified customers get rejected, while risky ones may slip through the cracks, and the team lacks data-driven insights and predictive tools to guide this decision. The business wants to make the process efficient. They also want to make sure that they are being accurate. They want to make sure that whoever they are giving a loan to is someone who is not going to default, is someone who is likely going to pay back their loan in due time. All right. So Swift Bank needs to be able to scale their current operations while ensuring that they accurately predict business outcomes. They want to grow as a business, they want to scale, but they also want to make sure that they are accurately predicting what the outcomes is going to look like. Are we likely going to make more money? Is this person likely going to pay back, or are they going to run away with our money? Right? Is it someone that can actually afford to pay back? Right? Is it someone that can actually afford to pay back? And all of those details. This is basically the problem that the business is facing. And what have they called us in to do? They want us to use customer data to gain insights into risky customers and improve marketing. So we want to see which customer is likely a risky customer. If we give them money, they are going to run away with our money, or they would find it difficult to pay back. All right. They also want us to migrate loan services to the cloud for better performance and scalability. We are beginning to get a lot more customers. There's increase in demand, and it becomes very difficult for us to track these large amounts of data with our local systems, right? So we are looking into investing in cloud platforms that make the process efficient, and we can easily manage this process. We also want to ensure efficient and smooth, secure running of our systems. We want to make sure that as much as we are scaling, we are taking this to cloud platforms. We want to make sure that we are safe on our end. Right? No one is breaking into our system and stealing people's money. All right. And then finally, we want to automate the loan approvals using data and AI. We want to make sure that whenever there's an application, the whole process is efficient and we're able to give the loans to the right people. And by right people, we mean the people who are going to pay back, the people who can actually afford to pay back. If all of this makes sense so far, can you just throw in an emoji? If all of this makes sense so far, what exactly would be getting into? All right, fantastic. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Olamide, as well. All right, I can see a number of responses. Benjamin, Samson, Ifeanyi, Zimvo's iPhone. Interesting. All right, awesome. 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 Now we understand what this business does. They're a bank. We also understand what the expectations are, right? Understand. All right, sorry about that. So we now know what the business does, what their expectations from us are at the end of the day. And we also got a hint towards what these different data professionals should do. Now we'll be looking at how exactly these three tech professionals will be contributing to the success of this project. All right. We've clearly outlined four for expectations from the business. Now, we'd be seeing how these professionals would be coming together, working together in order to achieve this goal. We are going to be starting off with the data analyst. Now, the objective or the goal of the data analyst in this context is to understand the patterns to improve the present situation of the business. What patterns are we observing? What have we seen in the past? What can we change to make things better? That's the focus of the data analyst. The tasks that this data analyst will be involved in would range from pulling historical loan data. So they will take in all of the loan data and see, oh, what is the age of this customer? How much loan have they collected? How much have they been saving? How much have they been spending? Right? What is the ratio of that value, right? Between their savings and spending. What is their purchase behavior? What is their spending pattern, right? They take all of that data, they clean it up, and then they begin to identify the pattern, some of which I already mentioned, all right? And then they are able to create ways that these values can be tracked, right? They can create metrics that can be used to track some of these values, or sometimes even build dashboards, visualizations that can tell the business how they are performing at a particular point in time. The deliverables of this data analysis of this data analyst would cut across a well-structured data, right? So even after collecting all of this data, even after retrieving it from a database, the data analyst has to go on to ensure that this data is structured in a format that makes it ready for analysis. There'll be a lot of transformation that's being done, creating new fields, new features from the already existing data, right? So they'll be doing some calculations to create new parts of the data from already existing ones. All right. So all of this would be done, and this will be part of the deliverables of the data analyst. Another would be insights and visualization based on the observations that they have made. So what is the loan trend looking like? Is there higher demand now? And what is the range of this demand? Are people demanding for higher amounts in terms of loans? I'm talking about values in the millions, or are people coming for mid-range requests for loans? Are people coming in for lower values? So what is the pattern looking like? What's the trend? And who is likely to pay back? All of these patterns are being observed. All right, so the data analyst at the end of the day takes in all of this customer data, makes sense of it, and is able to create a report, create a dashboard, come up with a centralized version that is analysis ready at the end of the day. Now, after all of this has been done, the data analyst communicates all of their findings to the machine learning engineer, and then that engineer picks things up from there. Give me a thumbs up if all of this makes sense, what the data analyst would be doing. Just throw in an emoji if all of this makes sense. All right, fantastic, fantastic. Now the machine learning engineer picks things up from here. After the data analyst has put together all of the things that they need to, right? They've put together all of the details, all of the findings that they have made based on the patterns that exist in the data. They pass that to the machine learning engineer, who goes on with this data. All right, the machine learning engineer goes on with this data and starts developing predictive models. Now, the machine learning engineer also conducts further analysis. All right, the machine learning engineer comes in with a more investigative mindset and really digs deeper, all right, into that particular data. Their focus or their objective here is to be able to make predictions, all right? And they need to make sure that whatever predictions they are making is correct. At the end of the day, we don't want the business running at a loss. And the way this or the way the ML engineer can contribute to that is by ensuring that if we see a particular customer, we want to be able to predict that this customer is likely going to pay and the customer is actually going to pay at the end of the day. We don't want to flag a customer and say, oh, this customer is likely going to pay, and they end up not paying. that defeats the purpose of actually having a machine learning engineer. So we are bringing the machine learning engineer, picks up this project and tries to make predictions based on the observations that the analyst has made, based on the trends and patterns that the analyst has observed and communicated. Like I said, the engineer will still go on to conduct his own analysis, but his focus is on making predictions. Who is likely going to pay? What are the patterns looking like? And how does that inform the decisions of these different customers? At the end of the day, after developing this model, all right, they package it in a way that makes it ready to be integrated into whatever application is going to be. So this could be the bank app that is tracking every single transaction you are doing. This could be within the bank itself, within their network, where they are now also keeping track of transactions that are happening. All right. So whatever the environment is, after the machine learning engineer has developed this model, they have to make sure that it is in a format that allows it to be shared or that allows it to be embedded into whatever system it's going to be pushed into. Now, we've been able to see how this process would flow from the data analyst to the machine learning engineer. What exactly would the cloud engineer be doing? The cloud engineer would be responsible for making sure that this entire process is seamless. Is responsible for making sure that the data analyst is able to interact with the data that the bank has already stored. The bank has so much information that they've collected from multiple customers and they've stored in a central location. So the data analyst goes in and retrieves that data. The cloud engineer makes sure that that process is seamless, that the data analyst does not have hiccups, that the data analyst does not end up having issues with the data or does not have access to the data that they need for their job. He also makes sure that whatever model the machine learning engineer develops can fit seamlessly into the application that's being developed. He ensures that this system or this model can be successfully deployed into that environment. So if we are applying this into an app, the cloud engineer makes sure that there's a streamlined process for how that will flow. And whoever is responsible for embedding that into the app, the cloud engineer makes sure that that process is successful. All right. The cloud engineer makes sure that that process is successful. He also makes sure that as demand continues to increase, the data analyst has observed the patterns the machine learning engineer has found out ways for us to predict and accurately tell who is likely going to default, who is likely going to pay back. And we are now giving it out a lot of loans. We are now giving out a lot of loans. A lot of people have heard about the bank, and a lot of people are coming into the bank, and numbers are increasing. The cloud engineer is responsible for making sure that as that demand increases, our system is able to adapt to that change. It makes sure that as the number of customers that are coming in are increasing, makes sure that our database is able to store all of that data. It makes sure that our system is robust enough to process all of that data. All right? One person generates a lot of data. We generate a plethora of data. Now you can imagine how many customers a bank has and how much data each person is generating, and then accumulate all of that. And the bank has to keep track of all of these records. There are transactions, millions of transactions happening every single minute. And the bank needs to keep track of all of these transactions. The cloud engineer is responsible for making sure that our systems do not break down. All right, is responsible for making sure that our systems do not crash because we have high traffic. Right, is responsible for making sure that our system is able to scale up or scale down based on the demand of the organization, based on the demand of our analysis. So this gives us a detailed breakdown of how each one of these professionals would be interacting with each other and how they will be contributing to this project at the end of the day. Now, each one of them have a defined set of tools that they are going to be using that would help them with this process. And some of these I have outlined earlier when we went through each one of their individual intricacies, right? For the Data analysts, you would find them using tools like Excel, Power BI, and Tableau for visualizations. They would also be leveraging tools like SQL. I mentioned they would need to retrieve data from a database. SQL is that language that allows them to be able to interact with databases. For the machine learning engineer, you find them using tools like Python, scikit-learn, TensorFlow, NumPy, Pandas, um, stats models, and so many other kinds of machine learning libraries that they will be using for their analysis. They would also be using SQL as well, because they need to interact with databases at the end of the day. Right? They need to retrieve data that they'll use for their predictions. And then the cloud engineers, they will typically be working with cloud platforms, right? Like AWS, Azure, Fabrics, and so much more. All right. So all of these professionals have a defined set of tools that they'll be using. The cloud engineer makes sure that whatever system, whatever infrastructure he puts together, those tools are able to efficiently integrate into that system and help the business get the work done. This is a quick breakdown of what the data analyst, data engineer, ML engineer, and cloud engineer would be doing in a very typical business setting, in a very typical situation like the one we have seen today. If all of this makes sense, I would like for you to give me a thumbs up or throw in your favorite emoji in the chat if you've been learning from today's session so far. All right, fantastic. Fantastic. Just a brief recap. Today we've seen a number of things, right? From who a data analyst is, who a machine learning engineer is, and who a cloud engineer is. We've also seen how they work, the different kinds of works that they get involved in. We've also seen the different tools that they make use of in order to ensure that their work is successful. We've seen how they all interact with each other in order to make sure that they have or deliver a successful platform or a successful product or a successful system at the end of the day. This is where we'll be drawing the curtains for this section of the program or this section of the session. And I would be handing over to my colleague Mubolaji, who would take things up from here. Hello, Mubolaji.
Oh, right. Hi, Jedediah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
All right, that was an absolutely intriguing session. I just had quite a lot to learn, and I'm sure it was just not me. I'm sure a lot of people on the call also had a lot of things to learn. Right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, I know that the next question that is going to be on people's mind is how do I get started? Okay, so now you walked us through all these amazing career paths. Okay, so now how do I plug myself in? All of this sounds like, you know, amazing things for me to do. Okay. Now, how do I plug myself in? Some people are going to even say, Mobology or Jedediah, I don't even have a tech background. Some people are going to say, I didn't study computer science in school. I didn't study computer engineering in school. And now you're talking about machine learning, cloud engineering, data analytics. How can I get into this space? I've seen a lot of people saying that tech is the new wave. You know, how can I get into tech? Well, good news for you, okay? Because Analytics, we exist for this single reason. We exist for this single reason to help people that do not have that, background in the tech space, okay? Or people that are currently in a non-technical role. So they're in the background, currently working, but it's not technical related. So they don't have the tech skills, right? How is this possible that they get into the tech space? Now, here at Analytics, what we've done is this. We've gone ahead to, literally research all of the top performing jobs out there. Now, we are a training program, we are a training company that train, people in tech programs. Now, but we do not offer training for all of the tech programs. Okay, we've specifically selected a couple of tech programs, about 8 of them that we offer here at Analytics. And how did we arrive at these eight different programs? Now, what we did was we scraped all the top performing jobs out there on the major job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, Total Jobs, right? And then we filtered all of these jobs, okay, through three major lenses. Three major lenses. Number one, ease of learning. What does that mean? It means that any career path that you choose to, explore your analytics, you want to upskill into, it is easy to learn. Number two is ease of transitioning. What does that mean? It means that even though you don't have a technical background, you didn't study computer science in school, these are career paths that you can still get into when you pick up the skills that are needed. And finally, high rewarding salary. And I'm sure a lot of us are going to agree on that. Okay. We don't want a particular, career path that we're going to get into and then the salary is not rewarding or is not high. All right. So you want to be rest assured that all of the programs that you are going to be, registering for, exploring here at Analytics, your programs that, that pass those three criteria. Now, after that particular research, on all of the job boards, we went on another research spree. Okay, we try to make sure that whatever it is that we're offering people is up to standard. All right, up to standard. So, what was this research that we made? Now, we went to the World Economic Forum, WEF. Now, WEF is a professional body that releases the future reports of jobs. All right, so they let you know the jobs that are going to be in high demand, the jobs that are going to be declining. All right. And WEF stated that by 2030, that's in 5 years' time, 170 million jobs will be created and over 92 million jobs will disappear. Now, a lot of people are already panicking because of the advent of AI. And AI is just one of the threats to people's jobs, right? Now, when we have over 92 million jobs that will disappear, it's not just AI, it's the general, advent of the climate when it comes to the job markets. Okay, it's just when we move from different dispensations to different dispensations. So we have, where we have the industrial age, we have when we have the information age, we have when we have the agricultural age. As we begin to change dispensations, right? Different jobs just begin to climb on the ladder. Some jobs begin to decline. Now you want to make sure that whichever skill that you are looking to learn is a skill that is going to be part of the jobs that is going to be created. It's a career path that is going to be high in demand. All right. Now, what we did again was we went on to pretty much get a chart now, so of the fastest growing jobs. Now let's see which jobs out there are going to be the highest in demand. So now we have the big data specialists coming up. We have the fintech engineers, we have the AI and machine learning specialists, we have software and application developers. All of these jobs, they are jobs that in the next 5 years, they are literally going to be topping the charts when it comes to jobs that are high in demand, right? And then you see the first one there, the big data specialist. That particular role is sort of composite. Okay, so when you hear about the big data specialist, you're looking at the data analyst, you're looking at the data scientist, you're looking at the data engineers. Now, I know that literally today, Jedidiah was walking us through, how to become a machine learning engineer, what they do, the machine learning engineers, on a day-to-day basis. The data analysts, what they do, and the data engineers, what they do. And then he went from the side of the cloud engineering. So if you ever have any passion for cloud engineering, you're looking towards the data engineering program. Okay, so he made mention of the cloud engineering. So what we did into this section is we selected, career paths that are embedded into the umbrella career path. So for example, when you hear of cloud engineering, you are looking towards data engineering. When you hear of machine learning engineering, you're looking towards data science. And when you hear of data analytics, obviously we have the data analytics program here at Analytics. So if you can take a look at my screen, you're going to see under some of the jobs that you can apply to as a data engineer, you will see the GCP cloud engineer, the Azure cloud engineer. Okay. Under the data science, what are some of the jobs you can apply to? You would see the third item on the list is the machine learning engineer, right? And then data analytics, we have a lot of roles you can apply to under data analytics. We have the business intelligence analyst, marketing analyst, and so on. Right. So now the question is this now, Mobology, I don't have this background, okay? But I want to learn. I want to get in on this, all right? How can I get started? Now, earlier this year, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, right? He put up a tweet and he was like, if you are a hardcore software engineer and you want to build the everything app, please join us by sending your best work to code@x.com. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Elon Musk said, we don't care where you went to school or even whether you went to school or what big name company you worked at. Just show us your code. Now, when Elon Musk dropped this tweet, I think it was racking over 20 million views. Right now, it's probably be into more than 50 million views. Now, this tweet, and then with the recent advent of technology being optimized, getting better, radically changed the job market such that recruiters are no longer interested in your certificates per se. Okay, now the job market has shifted from a certificate based system to a skill based system. What does that mean? Now, recruiters are more concerned with your skill. What have you done? Can you show us your code? What is your workflow like? This is something similar to what Elon Musk was saying right here. Elon Musk was saying that, you know, for someone like Elon Musk who has such, strong work ethics, saying that he does not care if you went to school or if you have worked at a big company before, just show us how you actually solve a problem, and then we'll get talking. Okay, this is because of the current weather of the job market. Okay, so now hiring managers are going for skills now and not the certificates, as before. Now, how does that affect you? How does that help you in any way? Now, I'm going to use this particular scenario to further drive this point home. Okay. Now, this is going to be an engaging question. I'll be asking a question and I would like us to be able to drop, a response in the chat. So now let's say you want a cake for your birthday, okay? And you are considering two bakers, right? Now, baker A, right, as all it has to show you as the man for the job is a certificate from a bakery school. All he has to show you is I have a certificate from a bakery school. I was probably top of my class. Now, Baker B is not showing you any certificates. Baker B is showing you is different varieties of cakes that he has been able to bake. Okay, vanilla, strawberry cake, and all of these different types of cakes. Okay, he has absolutely a show glass that you get to see the things that he has worked on. Now, here you are trying to get a cake for your birthday. Kingsley did not even let me land. Kingsley was like Baker B because it showed. So I was going to ask, now you are trying to, celebrate your birthday. Are you going to be hiring Baker A to come and make your cake for you because he has, he was the top of the class in the bakery school, right? Or are you going to be hiring Baker B who has actually, like Kingsley said, he has shown working. So I can see Treasure B for sure. Giwa definitely going for B as Giwa Solomon. Nicholas is going for Baker A. That's interesting, Nicholas. But I'm seeing a lot of Baker B's here, Ifeanyi, Baker B, of course. So pretty much about 99% of us were going for the Baker B. Why the Baker B? This is because you've seen a track record of what he has done. That kind of puts your mind to rest. Now, this is the same exact idea that hiring managers are using lately. Okay. They are looking for professionals that have done this something similar before. They're looking for professionals that have used, similar tools before. And if you have a portfolio that you can literally show your recruiters about the things that you have done, the projects you have worked on, you would stand in head, a shoulder above all your, contemporaries that are trying to get that same job that you're looking to get. Okay, so the barrier, the entry barrier into the tech space has been absolutely shattered. Okay, so People are literally gushing into tech and they can't even get tech. The old tech space can't even get enough. Like I was saying earlier, we have close to over 100 and more than 50 million jobs that will be created in the next 5 years. Okay, so there is a job literally in tech for everyone, right? And what happens is this now. The next thing is how can I, streamline myself and get started? Now, here at Analytics, we have identified, you know, three major steps, three major steps that you need to get yourself into tech. And I'll be running you this very, very quickly. Once I'm done with this, I'll run you through, the toolkits that you need to land a job. I'll run you through our employability services, our good internship, and finally how you can get started. And we are out of here. So now, how do you jump into the tech space? There are just basically three different steps. Number one is this: you learn. You learn an in-demand career. That is one thing that you want to do. Don't make mistake of trying to get into the tech space and then at this current age and time, you're trying to get into tech by learning tech skills like, web design or UI UX, or that particular niche is suffering from a lot of attack from AI. So you see all those design related tech roles or it's some tech roles that has to do with some basic coding. AI is coming heavily for those roles. Okay. Now you want to streamline your vision to jobs that are going to be high in demand in the next 5 to 10 years. So you don't want to learn a job, you don't want to learn a role that in 2 years you're looking to get into something else, right? So now you're trying to streamline yourself into a particular career that is high in demand. For example, data analytics, for example, data science, for example, data engineering. Okay. The next thing is you want to package yourself. How can you package yourself? Now, the truth is this: when you pick up a skill, for example, a data analyst skill, in the job market, we have 1,001 data analysts in the job market. Okay, looking to land the same job that you're looking to land. What is going to separate you from these guys? Okay, that is where a lot of people make mistakes from. Now, they are going to do what we call self-learning. They're going on YouTube, they're going on Coursera, they're going on Udemy, trying to, do a very simple crash course and think that that will fix them, all those six-figure roles, all those six-figure tech roles. But, most times it's just frustration upon frustration. Why is this? Because you need employability skills. You don't only need the technical skills, you need employability skills, right? And what are some of these things that you need? You need to have your CV reviewed and revamped. You need a standard CV format such that when you're applying for jobs, okay, your CV would pass the ATS. That's something we call the ATS, the applicant tracking system. Okay, so your CV has to be able to, pass that ATS for you to be able to, get your CV in the hands of a real recruiter. So a machine or an algorithm is going to actually, scan your CV first and mark that. So there are some keywords that you need on your CV. And here at Analytics, when you join us, you join the community, we will be teaching you how to review and revamp your CV before applying. We will be teaching you how to tailor your CV to the particular job role that you are looking to land. And we will be providing you a standard CV format that is guaranteed to land you an interview. Okay. The next thing is your LinkedIn optimization. So you need your LinkedIn to be optimized. Now, LinkedIn is one of the top recruiters of tech labor, right? So I think last year alone, LinkedIn did over $10 billion in revenue. Okay. Now, what happens is this. What does that translate to you? What that means is literally right now, so speaking, your next tech role is literally flying on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, you need an optimized profile so that you can be visible to recruiters when they get to your page. Now, every time I get DMs from recruiters, without even applying to these jobs, they reach out to me for an interview offer. Okay. Why are they able to reach out to me? Because I have an optimized LinkedIn profile. Okay. I have an optimized LinkedIn profile. So, I mean, if you're on LinkedIn, you can literally check Faluba Babalaji and you see how, you want to structure your LinkedIn. Okay. So, because that way you would be getting interviews from jobs you did not even apply to, but because you have an optimized profile, recruiters are able to identify you on time. Then you have what we're going to be doing with your mentorship. Okay, so we're going to be mentoring you on a weekly basis to increase your, your communication skill. Then you also are going to be building a portfolio, because once you have a portfolio, just like the baker that was showing workings, you can have an online platform where you host your projects. So that way, your recruiter can literally just with one click of a button, you can find your portfolio on, hosted online, and then they can see the things that you have done. Now, if you take this particular approach, you're packaging yourself, right? And then you start to apply for job. You're applying like a machine, but with precision. Okay. The the result of that, there's just only one single result. You've learned technical skills. You are actually being aware of your employability skills also, and you're applying to jobs. Let's say you're applying to 10 quality jobs per day, you would land a job before the end of that month. It's just almost impossible, because you having all of this visibility, you will be able to gain engagement. And that is what we are going to be training you here with at Analytics. Right. So now let's jump into the complete data engineering, data analyst, and data science toolkits that you need to land a job in 2025. So now you're going to be asking me, some people here on this call, they've been in the space. Some people here are absolutely new to this old tech space. Now, what are some of the skills? What are some of the tools that recruiters are looking for in potential applicants? Now, for the data analysts, for those that are interested in the data analyst. Now, again, um, once you so just like I said earlier, you want to go ahead and fill in the attendance form that is being passed in the chat, because we have a lot of resources that we are going to be sharing. Okay, I'm also going to share a quiz link. This quiz link is for people that they want to get into the tech space, but they are not sure which program to go for. Okay, I will be sending that link. That link would take you to an online platform where you would fill up a quiz question, and then the AI behind the application would help you streamline your skills, your experience, your education towards the particular tech career path that is most suitable for you. But in this particular session, I will be walking us through the three major programs that we are, talking about: the data analytics, the data science, and the data engineering. But we have more. Now, for the data analyst, what do you need? What skills do you need to land a role as a data analyst? Number one is problem solving. You need the problem solving skills. Number two, Microsoft Excel. You need an end-to-end, full course on Excel. How do you import data into Excel? How can you clean your data in Excel? How can you wrangle your data? How can you mine your data for insights, right? SQL, structured query language. Now, SQL is the language of the database. All right. So, as a data analyst, if you do not understand the language of the database, then why are you a data analyst if you cannot communicate with the database? So, you see, especially for data analysts, you can quote me anywhere. Later, again, you can quote me anywhere. As a data analyst, the bunch, about 90% of your interview, especially your technical interview, would be based on SQL. You can quote me anywhere. So that is a language that you want to focus on as a data analyst. It comes up a lot during the technical interview. They're going to give you a particular business case scenario and tell you to write SQL, to be able to provide solution to the business problem. Okay. Then what else are you going to be learning? Power BI and Tableau. Now, these are business intelligence tools, but they are focused on visualization. They help you visualize your data, bring your data to come alive. All right. And then you'll also be learning data storytelling, ChatGPT for analytics, and Microsoft Fabrics for analytics. Right. So as a data analyst, you are solving two problems in any organization: descriptive analytics and diagnostic analytics. In simple terms, what that means is you're helping the company understand what happened in the data and why it happened in the data. That is the work of a data analyst, right? Those two responsibilities, those are your major roles. Now, we move to the next one, which is the data science. Now, what are the skills that you need to land a role as a data scientist? Now, you see that machine learning engineer that my colleague was saying earlier? Now, that particular role is under the data science program. So, as a machine learning engineer, okay, you are actually coming into the data science program. That is where you are going to pick up all your learnings and your training in machine learning. Okay. Now, um, for the data science program, what are the tools that you will be learning? We will be learning statistics to start with. Okay, statistics to start with. Then we have forecasting and predictive analytics using Microsoft Excel. Now, before I go ahead, I'd like to let you know that for a data scientist, you have three main questions that you are answering in any organization. Three main questions. Number one is descriptive analytics. Number two is diagnostic analytics. And the third one is predictive analytics. So, like I was saying earlier, a data analyst has just two questions, to answer, right? But a data scientist has three questions to answer: descriptive, diagnostic, and predictive analytics, right? So how do you answer these three questions, right? You're learning statistics, you're learning Excel, you're learning Tableau, you're learning SQL, you're learning Python programming language. So Python programming language is the language that you will be, employing for your machine learning, for your algorithms, and all of those, right? For your computer vision, and all of those, right? So you'll also be exposed to GitHub for version control, ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot for coding, and finally the Microsoft Fabrics for analytics. Now, these are the key learning areas that you need to have as a data scientist in 2025 to be able to land a role. Okay. Now let's go into the data engineering, key learning areas. Now, what do you need to land a role as a data engineer in 2025? Number one is obviously you want to have the background knowledge of data engineering. So introduction to data engineering. Number two is the SQL. Now, data engineers also make use of SQL. Now, if you are actually being very, very observant, you're going to see that the three programs, data analytics, data science, data engineering, they have one particular skill set in common. Can anybody tell me which particular tool that a data analyst, a data scientist, and a data engineer has in common? I want you to drop it in the chat. What tool do you think that is in common between the data analyst, the data scientist, and the data engineering? Oh, fantastic. I was trying to give a gift to the first person that actually answered our question, but I think I'm going to give a gift to the next question I'm going to be asking. So, but yes, 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 we're all following. SQL is one important tool that you need to have if you will be working in the data space, right? SQL is the language of the database, right? So you just need to be able to understand it. And here at Analytics, we have fantastic instructors. They are going to teach you SQL from the ground up, from literally all the foundation of SQL. Okay, the foundations to the intermediate level and then the advanced level. All right. So now, but the way a data engineer uses SQL is a little bit different. They use SQL to set up the database, to create the database, the data structure. Right now, a data analyst uses and a data scientist, they use SQL to query a database. They get information from a database, while a data engineer uses SQL basically to set up a database, and they can also use it to query the database. So you're learning SQL, you're learning Python programming language, you're learning Linux operating system, you're learning how to build custom ETL pipelines, you're learning Apache Spark and Apache Airflow for data pipeline automation, cloud engineering. So you'll be exposed to GCP, Azure, and AWS, version control, GitHub version control, and finally, ChatGPT for data engineering. So these are the key learning areas that you need to have. These are the key learning areas that you need to have to be a data engineer and learn a data engineering role in 2025. All right. Now, this is an example of a portfolio. Okay, this is an example of a portfolio that was hosted on GitHub. All right, and let me just click this link for you to see. It should take us to. It should be able to take us to. I think. Okay, so I'm going to. All right, so let's just see what happened. So this is one of our previous students, right? Victor Omoboye. It's one of our previous students, right? So now this is a portfolio of a project hosted on GitHub. So as a recruiter, they will be able to come here, see the projects that you have worked on. All they need is a link. All right. So once you get the link, we'll teach you how to set up something like this. And we'll even teach you how to be able to, be able to embed this particular project on a website. Okay. And you can host it on GitHub. All right. So you'll have all your projects like this. And then that way it makes sense for your, recruiter to be able to check in and see what you are doing. Now, I was saying earlier that you will be exposed to technical trainings and employability services. Okay, so there's also something that you stand to gain when you join the program. We do not tell our students to, on your LinkedIn profile or any professional work profile that you have. We do not tell our students to put there that I'm training with Analytics or I'm training at Analytics. What you should say is I'm consulting with Analytics. Now, immediately you join the program and you lock in your spot and join the community, you absolutely have the right to include Analytics as one of your work experiences. You have the right to be able to include diary as one of your place of work experience because analytics, we are a consulting firm. Diary is where you will be having your internship, and I'll be getting to that in a bit. Okay, so why would you be able to put on your LinkedIn profile that, oh, for example, I'm a data analyst at Analytics, or I'm a data engineer at Analytics, and you joined us like just like a week ago or like even days ago, right? This is because we're basically a consulting firm. We get projects from clients. Now we bring these projects into the classroom for our students to work on. Now, when you're working on this project, we have already redacted some information. We have already coded, some things just to, stick to data privacy laws. Okay, so you don't know which company you are working for. You don't have, an insight into their exact data because we have codified the data. But you are working on a real business problem. So for the fact that you're working on a real business problem, okay, you are already working with us and you have that right to be able to put that on your profile. And Analytics, we are registered in the UK, the Canada, and the US. If you can see my screen right here, you will see that we are registered with the American Council of Training and Development, ACTD. Okay, so what that means is you need any American experience for those that are going to be dealing with American recruiters. For those that are going to be dealing with Canadian recruiters, we've got you covered. You can see here on this particular slide that we are registered in Canada and also we are registered in the UK. So we got you covered when you're looking for UK experience, Canadian experience, or American experience. Now, some people on this call will go like, Mobology, I've heard everything you've said. Now, but can I see some people that have actually, joined your program and they've been able to actually come out, with jobs? You keep saying you've helped people get into the tech space. Now, can we have some success stories, right? So I've already preempted that question and I've actually, added some of our success stories into the slides. Now, you can see on my screen, Michael, the first guy on the left, he landed his first role as a sales engineer in a software company in the UK after completing his data engineering program. Okay. Michael absolutely was elated on how the mentorship and the interview prep helped him land a role. So this is Michael making a comment on how our interview prep helped him, sound very, very confident in the interview. So this is what happens here at Analytics. When you join the program, you have access to a lot of benefits. And if you will, or when you land an interview, we will be preparing you for that interview before you go in for the actual interview. And this is what really helped Michael to land his role because he felt like the questions that interviewers were asking him, we've already solved all of that in the preparation. Now, the next person is Idris. Idris got a job with Jaguar Land Rover in the UK as a data engineer after training with us. Okay, the next person here is Abdul Rashid. Abdul Rashid resides in Nigeria, but he landed a full-time role as a data scientist with Child 420 in the US, working remotely. Now, how amazing is that? You're currently in your own country and you landed a role in a foreign country. You're getting paid in foreign currency. How amazing is that? That is one of the flexibilities that, picking up a tech skill that is high in demand affords you. All right. Then we have other, testimonials. We have this is Tony. Tony landed a job as a benefit analyst in the UK with the NHS. Our job came with full visa sponsorship. We have Tosin. Tosin landed a job as a fraud analyst with the UK. Right. We have Benga landed a job as a business data analyst. So we have tons and tons and tons of testimonials. This is Ubong landed a job with PwC. Right. And finally, a job with Cognizant with a full stack data science program. Okay, so this is something that is literally a day-to-day things that happen. If you are part of the community on WhatsApp, okay, you'll probably be getting links to our YouTube channel where you can see all of this uploaded. And you have these guys, they are actually, putting up a video recording of them testifying to how we literally were, instrumental in helping them land a role. Okay, so now somebody's going to go like, what are the next steps for me? I've seen people done this. I feel like I can do this too. And you've told me that the entry barrier into tech has been lowered. How can I get in now? How can you get in? We have a next cohort resuming the 9th of August here at Analytics, which means that you can start your tech training at the 9th of August. You can start your tech training and literally be on a fast track to mastering a skill and landing a job. And you can start that the 9th of August. How can you get started? Now, for the 9th of August, right, where we'll be resuming our new cohort, we have a special discount for this coming cohort. Now, but it's a slot-based discount. Now, for the first 20 people on this call that would register by paying, an instrumental fee, okay, you will get access to the discounts. The entire program is an 8 month program. The entire learning scheme is an 8 month program. It's divided into 6 months of training, 6 months of in-class training, and 2 months of internship. Okay, so now with the training, the employability services, and the internship, they all cost 900 US dollars. But for those that are going to be registering literally between today and tomorrow, you will get access, to pay the discounted amount of just $750. $750. And guess what? You do not have to pay all at once. You can spread the 750 over over a, a period where you're paying instrumentally. So you can pay as low as $150 every month for 5 months and you're done. Okay, so you can convert this to different currencies. For example, if you're in the UK, you'll be paying £123 every month for 5 months. All right. So the payment structure is that flexible where you can absolutely join immediately. All right. Now, the I'm going to be sending, or my colleague right now, they're going to be pasting the payment link in the chat. All you have to do is click on the payment link, lock in your spots as soon as you can, and then I'm going to be showing you how you can do that right about now. So how can you lock in your spots, okay, and join the community so that you can benefit from that discount as soon as possible. Now, don't forget the discount is slot based. It's for the first 20 people to make payments, right? So now, how can you lock in? Once you get the link to the payment page, You are gonna be on this page right showing on my screen. What do you have to do? Just scroll all the way down. Let's assume you are looking to register for the data analytics program. Now, let's use data science for this scenario. Now, you're going to see here the full stack data scientist program. What you do is you click on register for data science, register for FSTS. Now, once you click on this, it's going to take you to where you can select the installmental plan that works for you. You can pay 5 times, you can pay 4 times, you can pay 3 times, you can even pay twice, or you can even pay everything all at once. Now, for those that are willing to pay, just in one installment or pay twice, right, you get a further discount where you are paying just $700 instead of the 750. That's for those that are paying just once or twice. Now, but you can still jump in on the offer if you are willing to do that on time. If you want to pay 3, 4, 5 times, you can still jump in on a discount and pay 750. Now, how can you lock in? Now, let's assume you want to pay 5 times. All you have to do is click on the 5 monthly payments, click on secure your seats, click on proceed. Now you put in your name here, your email, and then you pay for products. All right. I'm going to be attending to the questions in a bit. So you put in your information here and you pay for products. Now, once you're done paying for products, this is what you want to do. A receipt will be automatically sent into your email. You'll see in your inbox a payment confirmation. All you want to do is go into your inbox, go into your email, take a screenshot of that receipt. Okay. Then come back to this landing page. You're going to see right here at the middle, it says upload your receipt here. Click on this and then you can upload that screenshotted receipt. And once you do that, we'll be able to verify the payments with your name. And once we get the confirmation, a team member will reach out to you, send you your welcome toolkit and a link to onboard you for the program starting the 9th of August. And that is how you can lock in, join the community, and get started on the path to becoming a tech professional with all the benefits and with the right community, supporting you. All right. So that is how you can lock in your spot. The link to the payment page is currently being passed by my colleague in the chat. It's currently being passed by my colleague in the chat. So you want to go ahead and click on that link, double down and lock in your spot as soon as you can so that you can benefit from that discount. All right, now. So I think this is a point where I get to start attending to questions. Right. So now, if you have any questions, you can drop the questions in the chat, and then I'm going to do my best to, give you all the clarity to those questions. So I can see. Let's go to the last question here. So this is email that saying, since I'm just starting into tech, must I start with data analytics? Can I start off any other first? So I can see email that she's asking or is asking that since there are a newbie to the tech space, can they start with data analytics or something else? So absolutely yes. Especially if you are very, very new to the tech space. We have some very beginners friendly tech programs. For example, the data analytics, the business analysis, and the agile project management. These programs, they are absolutely beginners friendly. All right. They are low code, which means that the amount of coding they're going to be doing is very, very minimal. In fact, the agile project management is an entirely a no code zone. That is zero coding. Some other programs are low code. Okay, so these are programs that give you that kind of beginners friendly approach to get into the tech space. So email that data analytics, right, would be something that is actually good for you to start with. Okay, but like I said, I'm going to be sharing a link in the chat. The link is to the quiz. That way, you will be able to, once you attend the quiz, you will be able to figure out which program is the best one for you to start with. Okay, the quiz is AI powered and it's going to help you to figure out, okay, which program, is the most or would be the most suitable for you. Okay. So I will be dropping the link in the chat right about now. All right, so there is a quiz link for those that are not certain which programs to register for. Okay, I just dropped a quiz link in the chat right now. You want to go ahead and check on that link. That link is going to help you to that link is going to help tailor your educational background, your work experience, okay, in finding that best career path for you. So let's go ahead to attend to some other, questions. So if you almost said if you don't have a credit card, how do you go about this? So we would have, other payments or means that you would be able to, afford, right? But what you want to do first is informa, you want to fill in the attendance form, all right? And then that way we will be able to reach out to you and then help you with your payments, okay? We'll be able to reach out to you and help you with your payments. So let me check other questions that. So please, are women in data science roles? I did not see any woman among the people you showed. Thanks. So I can see someone here. The name is Samsung SMA5368. So yes, okay, the tech career path is not gender specific. Okay, so you can absolutely get into any tech role as a data scientist, data engineer, data analytics, as a male or a female. So it is not gender specific, right? So keep your questions coming in if you have a particular question, so I can, give us all that clarity before we bring this session to a close. Right. All right, let's keep that coming in. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. Right. So, like I said, there is an attendance form in the chat. You want to go ahead and fill in that attendance form. Then there is other forms. There is the link to the payment page. Like I said, the discount we're offering for August is a slot-based discount. You want to hurry and grab on one of the slots before it gets exhausted. Once we have the first 20 people, the discount is over. So if you can hurry and lock in your spot today, tomorrow, before the end of this week, I think you should still be able to have access to the discount. Okay. So the link is in the chat. Now, if you want access to this entire evening's, session, the recording, the resources, the slides, you want to fill in the attendance form that is passed in the chat. Okay. All right. So if we have those questions coming in, you can drop them in the chat so I can give all the clarity to the questions. You can see how many hours do we have to study? So Rita is asking how many hours do we have to put in? So um if you have 2 hours on a daily basis, right? So 5 days in the week, if you can put in 2 hours, watching your videos, doing your project, researching just 2 hours on a daily basis, you should be able to meet up with what is being taught in class and not lag behind. So 2 hours on a daily basis, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 5 days in a week should be sufficient enough for you to, keep up with the rest of the class, right? I have Chidi asking, I understand the students have got work to do to be successful with this boot camp. I have seen, I have not seen any proof of the percentage of your graduates that were successful in landing a tech role. Most of like platforms always abandon students at the end of courses with flimsy excuses. How can we get a guaranteed of those promises? So first of all, Chidi, here at Analytics, our benchmark so far is 89%. 89%. What does that mean? Out of 100 people or students, right, or participants that graduate a cohort, over 89 of them go out to land roles. Okay. Now, how are we so successful? Right. It's because we are absolutely a lot interested in the job hunt phase of students. Okay. We are not just interested in the technical training. We are interested in the job hunt phase. It is just we are so interested in the job on phase that one of the things that we have done here at Analytics is this. We've gone ahead to subscribe to some paid job boards. So we get premium jobs for our students to apply to. So on a weekly basis, you will be getting jobs to apply to on a weekly. These are premium jobs. People like these jobs are not available to the general public because you have to pay to get access to these jobs. But we've done that on behalf of our students so that we can increase your chances of landing roles. We are so invested in the job on space that we almost want to get our students straight into the employability services, but we have to train you to pick up the technical skills first before we get into the job on phase, right? So that's why we absolutely, train, do the technical training first, and then the employability services side by side, all right? Now, every of the benefits that you will be getting here at Analytics, whether it's the CV review, the mentorship sessions, the LinkedIn optimization, you have the job reference letter on the job support. All of these benefits, they are lifelong benefits. What does that mean? Once you join us, you are with us for life. So 6 months after you're done with analytics and you land an interview, you can absolutely get a staff to do an interview prep for you. 6 months, 1 year after you're done with analytics, you can join our mentorship sessions. You can join our CV review sessions. Okay, you can absolutely ask for on the job support. How amazing is that? That you are on your job and you can actually request professional services if you are not certain exactly which route to go or which tool to use. You can reach out back to us and we'll have a team double down to you and give you that soft landing on your job. So this is not something that you come in, you pay, you learn how to write SQL or how to use Excel, and then it's done. We leave you alone, and that no, that you are going to be placed in an alumni community. Once you join the program, you'd obviously be placed in a community that is with your own course. Now, when you graduate, you will graduate into the alumni community, which is very, very active. Okay, a lot of job applications are being posted, a lot of networking opportunities are going on the group. So you have access to all of these things. So there is no abandoning our students after we are done. We need those testimonials for us to be more credible. So for us as a company to be more credible, we need our students to land jobs. So we are not abandoning our students after the program. Rather, we are going to be holding your hands till you land a job. I hope that gives you a little bit of clarity, Chidi. Okay. So Patrick is saying, how long is your Scrum Master program? How long is your Scrum Master and project management training? Does it come with certificates like PMP certificate? So, Patrick, the program for the Scrum Master and the rest of our programs is following the same structure. It is an 8 months program. So 6 months training, 2 months internship, right? And when you are done, you will be getting a master project management certificate. Okay. Now, we do not offer professional certifications like PMP and the likes, but what we do is this: we can help prepare you for your professional Scrum Master certification as your PSM. Okay, now all the curriculum and the key learning areas in the Agile project management, right? They are sufficient enough to help you pass your PSM and other, certifications. So we help you prepare for these external certifications if you want to go for them. Okay, but we do not literally offer that where we give you that. So you'll be getting our own in-house certificates when you are done with us. Now, the next one is um what other question? The total price is 575 on the link. Yeah, so Oluwaseun, the total price is 575 on the link. That is for those that are making payments just once. Okay, so I'm sure that is in the UK, right? For those that are making payment just once, they're paying £575 because there is a further $50 knockoff. Now, if you are paying every month for the next 5 months, so that's 5 month installments, you'll be paying £615 in total. But if you're paying just once or twice, you're paying £575 because you get an extra discount. So that's what happens with that, Oluwaseun. Okay. So Samsung is saying, do we get certifications for data analytics and data science? Absolutely. You will get a certification for every program or any program that you register for here at Analytics. So we are almost done with the session, but you can keep your questions coming in before we round off for today. Okay. So let's keep those questions coming in. If you need any further clarification, as to certificate or certification. So certificates, right? So you're getting a master certificate from us. Okay. We are not partnering with an external certification body or a professional certification body, but we offer our own in-house certificates. And like I've said, we are registered with ACTD, American Council of Training and Development, which makes our certificates so credible and very valid all over the world, right? Now, somebody's saying, does it require coding to learn cloud engineering? So that cloud engineering is under the data engineering program, and it requires you to learn Python programming language. As long as you're open-minded to learning, we will be teaching you how to be able to grasp all the nitty-gritties of Python, and you'll be good to go. Olamide. Now, if he is saying, is there any professional certification for data analytics program? So no, there is no professional certification. Okay. So you see programs like data analytics, data science, data engineering, they don't have a professional body that sort of, you know, rolls out examinations to get certification. That's why you have Google having its own certificate. So you see that if you are learning data analytics from Google, you will be getting the Google Professional Data Analytics certification. If you are learning from IBM, you're learning from Microsoft, you'll be getting their own in-house certificate. So there is no professional body for programs like that. But for programs like BA, business analytics, analysis, project management, there are professional bodies, that actually supervise that role. Okay. Now, what's the difference between business analysis and financial analysis? Right. So basically, for the BA, you are a professional that is going into an organization to help them optimize business processes. So you get into a company, you meet a particular process at level one, you're looking for how can I optimize this to, like, let's say level three. Now, for example, get into a particular e-commerce store that has a 5-day delivery system after a customer makes a purchase. Okay. Now, as a BA in that company who just got, that job, you were looking for how to optimize that delivery process to, let's say, from 5 days to like 2 days. So the customer are getting their products just 2 days after their delivery, after their payment. So those sort of, business processes optimization, that's where you are going to absolutely see a BA thriving. But for a financial analyst, they are, professionals that get into an organization to help them be able to make sense of their financial data and make financial decisions that are backed up by data. Okay, so they're in charge of helping an organization make financial decisions that are backed up by data. So you're learning data skills that you can use to be able to analyze financial data and be able to profile recommendations. So that's basically the approach that they take into providing solutions. All right, so let's see what we have next. Should a beginner go into BA or data analytics, or can they delve into? So for Oluwakamiye Igwe, right, you want to go ahead and take the quiz. I just dropped the link again. Okay, there is a quiz that once you take the quiz, the AI is going to help you, tailor yourself to which program would be the best one for you. Now, once you get a particular program or you get two programs, you can then register for a clarity session with us, and we can then personally, on a one-on-one basis, drill down, let you know which program will be best one for you based off of your personality type or your technical expertise. Okay. So so there is no difference between data scientist and machine learning engineer, Ajoke. So a machine learning engineer is so machine learning engineering is a subset of data science. So it is under or inside data science. So a data scientist would be able to do machine learning. Okay. So that was why I was saying that cloud engineering that we spoke on today is under data engineering. Machine learning engineering is under data science. So that is how, that is structured. So I think we're almost, at the end of the session. So I think I still have space for just maybe one or two questions before we wrap up. So don't forget to fill in the attendance form in the chat if you want to get access to all of this, resources and the recordings of this session, and also the payment link so you can absolutely lock in your spot is also in the chat. So you want to click on the payment link, go and make a payment. You can lock in your spots by making an instrumental, payment. Just with $150 or £123, you can lock in your spot and get started on your journey. Okay. So for someone that has experience in data science and little data engineering, which course can one take? Right, so that is going to be dependent on which. So for Oluwaseun, I know you want to come in for a clarity session. There are other questions that we're going to be asking you to help you drill down which one would be the best one for you, data science or data engineering. So just fill in the attendance form and then book for a clarity session. So for everyone on this call that is not still certain which program to go for, okay, you can just fill in the attendance form. Once you're done, you will be added to the community and then you book for a clarity session. Okay, just drop a message that you need a link to book for a clarity session. It's more or less a one-on-one session where we have professionals that will help you to drill down the best program that suits your personality and your technical expertise. Okay, so for people that like coding, for those that don't like coding, you would have something that fits you. Okay. So I can see Oluwaseun, just fill in the attendance from Oluwaseun, and then you will be added to the community, and then you will get a link to the clarity session. Okay. All right then. So do we have any other questions before we bring this to a close? Do we have any other questions? So Oluwaseun has filled in the attendance. Fantastic, Oluwaseun. So we will be expecting you in the clarity session. So we're almost running. We have just 3 minutes to go. Any other questions? We have just 3 minutes to go. Any other questions? For those that are still on the call, you have access to that discount. Okay, it's for those that waited till the end of this session. So if you're still on this call, make sure you fill in the attendance form. Make sure you click on the link to the payments page. Okay, the enrollments page. We have very, very limited slots for the discounts. Okay, once we have the first 20, the price goes back to $900. So you want to save that $150 right there. Okay, well, you can do that by jumping in on this offer as soon as you can. The payment link is in the chat. You can click on that and take on that offer. So we have come to the end of the session this evening. It was an absolute pleasure to facilitate this session. All right. And I'm looking forward to us joining the community and joining us for the August or the September cohorts, whichever will be the best one for you. So with no further questions being asked, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for sticking with me up until this time. It was an absolute privilege and pleasure to host this session. Till next time, cheers and bye for now.